All right, you all set? Going to show you how to cure your herpes. See, it's long overdue. I made movies about curing herpes years ago. Long overdue to make another one. I got my I Cured Herpes cap on. See this? See that? My I Cured Herpes baseball cap. If you notice, underneath there it tells how many cures we've got. Those are not all herpes cures. I've watched people cure cancer, which is far more important than curing herpes. Lupus, also far more important. Lethal diseases. Keely cured a liver disease, a potentially lethal liver disease. I am the very first person who cured anything, and that was herpes. It was in July of 1993, when I was coming back from Anguilla. I was in the Anguilla. I can't pronounce. I've spent a month there and I can't pronounce the name of the place. I was in the parking lot of the car rental in Puerto Rico and doing my Munich dance. That's what we do. We do immunics. That's how we cure these things. It's not just me. There's obviously a whole huge group of people who cure stuff. And I was doing my Munich dance. There weren't very many of us at that point. This is 1993 we're talking about. And I I had a terrible herpes outbreak. It was huge. And lip and genital, I had them both. And it was like this little voice, this little God voice whispering in my ear, test if you can kill the virus. And that was the word it used. It knew I would relate to killing herpes. and I did relate to it. And I tested, and this is how you test. See this little tiny movement? Well, back in those days, I was doing this. See that? When my finger would release, it would mean, yes. And my finger released when I tested that. Now we just look for some people get a pulse. And if you tried this, just right there when I showed it to you, and you did not get any finger signal, you should not worry about that. Most people, when they first begin this, do not succeed in getting finger signals that they've cured anything. So don't worry about it. So now I'm just going to go on. I'm going to tell you how to do this. People are always asking me, well, how do I do it? Get to the point. People say to me, this guy is nuts. People write these things in, this guy is crazy and he doesn't get to the point. I'm crazy and they want to hear what I have to say. So they keep watching. Well, you can't blame them. This is the only cure for herpes. All those things like the herbs and the whatever, all these other things, they don't cure herpes. I mean, herbs are great. I use herbs, but never cured herpes with it. I started using herbs back in the 1970s, for God's sake. 1970 is when I bought my juicer and I threw away my salt and sugar. I stopped eating salt and sugar. I threw the bag away in the garbage, the bag of sugar in the container of it rains when it pours, or whatever, it pours when it rains. I can't remember anymore. But they were gone. I threw them away. So that's when I began on my health quest. Never cured my herpes. Didn't even expect to. Who thought? Whoever thought? Now they're all advertising these herpes herbs. They cure herpes. Or that maybe they say we can't say these cure herpes because anyway they don't. So, but you can cure your herpes. Let me see what I'm supposed to tell you next. Okay, all right. So here's how you cure your herpes, okay? Let's say you're in this study and you're doing this, and you would say, okay, I am now going to, what you're going to do is I'm going to say, is there any herpes in my gravitational body? And see that in this particular demonstration, this does not mean, I actually got no to that. There was no signal coming through. But then what I did is I just put a little thought in my mind, demonstration signal. So my finger gave, that's actually a signal. It's just, a signal, yes, this is the demonstration. So now for you, what you would do is you would actually train yourself to see or feel your spiral body. And you would then, or your gravitational body, you have to check both of those and a lot of other ones too. But let's go back to the gravitational. So you would say, okay, you get your gravitational body. It's like, one way to do that is to say, just to say, I'm bringing my gravitational body. I'm going to do this. I'm bringing my gravitational body into my physical body. Okay, all right. When my finger stopped, that meant it was there, and I can test it, and I'm getting. You notice I'm not looking at you anymore, right? People say, this guy has shifty eyes, I'm actually kind of focusing inward. The gravitational body does not exist in physical space. So you would focus on it. Now again, if you are not getting a finger twitch, don't worry about it. You could actually try to do this even if you don't get a finger twitch and just see if you can feel anything in there or spot anything in there. And when I've got my gravitational body, then I start scanning it. So I'm going to go, and again, there's no herpes there, but I get a demonstration signal, and that would mean that, okay, that's the herpes. I found the herpes in which the gravitational body, just to give you an idea of how small it is, you had one when you were a subatomic particle. Okay, so I would say, okay, now I'm now removing the herpes from my gravitational body. I actually did just remove something from my gravitational body. It was not herpes, but I did remove something. And I feel different. And that's another thing. There's another signal that's more important than the finger twitch. It's a change in the way you feel. And when you get this change, you realize that the herpes was making you feel not so good. So at that point, you have done something. Have you cured your herpes at that point? No, absolutely not. All you did was take it out of your gravitational body. There's a difference, okay? But let me test. If someone did that, would they have cured their herpes? And I get yes. In a sense, that's a cure that you can credit yourself with, especially if you feel different. You can cure symptoms, you can cure part of something. There's lots of cures, or not the cure where you get the negative medical test. What you do is you work yourself towards the negative medical test. Like people always ask me, well, do people actually get negative medical tests? Well, they ask me, did I get a negative medical test on herpes? No. Nor did I ever get a positive medical test on herpes. As a matter of fact, in 1966, there were no medical tests for herpes. I went to Jackson Memorial Hospital as a charity case, and which was, a good way to go because, probably 14 interns looked at me, and I heard them in the next room, and they were saying, oh, that guy's got herpes in there. Oh, herpes, yeah. Oh, I want to see. Can I go look? They'd never seen a case of herpes. It was not as common as it is now. So there was no blood test, no tests for herpes, but they would scrape it, observe it, and they'd say that's herpes. Then they tell you it was incurable and send you home. And that was it. That was the whole, no Valtrex, no treatments, nothing. Just, it's incurable, go home. So I didn't know it was incurable. when I went to all the trouble of sitting with the social worker and getting myself accepted as a charity case, and she said, well, you're in college, why don't you work and make some money so you can go to the doctor? And I was just like, okay, we'll handle this one step. But I said, please take me because I'm in pain. And she said, okay. So that's how I got in. Alrighty, onward. So then you remove the herpes from all of your bodies. And there's a web college. See this? You go to this website. See the org? It's not Cure Drive. There's the web address. Orgs are nonprofits. There's the web address right there. See that? So, that's what you do. You go there and follow the directions. And you'll find lists of bodies and all the stuff you need to cure it. So this is, now the question is, let's say you take the herpes out of all of your bodies, including the physical, and feel different and your outbreak disappears. Have you then cured your herpes, and can you now go get retested? Because most of the people I talk to have had a medical test. Lots of people get negative medical tests on herpes. For example, Barb, one of the people you'll meet on the cure team. See, this is not me, okay? We're a team. We have a college and a cure team, and we have people for you to talk to and people who want to help you. And Barb is one of them, and she got negative medical tests on 3 medically incurable diseases, which she had previously tested positive for. One of them was the Epstein-Barr virus that causes chronic fatigue syndrome. And the other 2 were lip and genital herpes, HSV 1 and 2. Oral and genital. So, yes, people get negative medical tests. No, I was never tested positive, negative, or any other ways. You can stop asking me and talk to the other people who are curing these things. And you'll meet people who are curing like MS. And join the cure team. Be one of us. Be with us. That is why I made this movie, to invite you to be part of the cure team, to be one of us. And I'm crazy, People are always saying that. This guy is crazy, I am crazy. That is true. But, as you can see from my baseball cap, I also have cured my herpes. You see, here's the poop on this, okay? If I talk to God and cure my herpes and believe I have a spiral body, and you've never heard of any of these bodies, right? Before you saw this movie, so because we know we have them, but that's because we have the ability to access this information, because we're getting feedback that leads us to these things, So, see, if I am, if I talk to God and cure my herpes, I'm nuts. But if a lot of us do it, we're a religion. So join our religion, cure your herpes. We want you to be a part of it. That's what this is all about. And so anyway, back to the question, which is, okay, so let's say you've taken the herpes out of all your bodies, and you now feel better, and your herpes outbreak disappears, and it's a few days later, and your outbreak is definitely gone, and you're testing, and you keep testing, it's back in your gravitational body, and you keep taking it out. And if you keep doing that, is the herpes now cured? And the answer is no. In order to get a negative medical test, you're going to need to keep checking. Also, you're going to learn to feel. You will learn to feel when you have herpes in your gravitational body. You see, the fact is, these bodies are not just these imaginary New Age things that we all, dreamed up. They exist. And when you have an infection in your gravitational body, you're not going to feel so good. and I don't mean physically or non-physically, just you're going to feel, you will learn that the general way that you walked around feeling is not necessarily normal. That it is possible to feel a whole lot better than you're used to feeling. So, and when you take it out of all your bodies and it's gone, you test it, it's all gone, and you'll feel this different way, you know, this good way. It's a good feeling, you know. We call it the calm, clear place. So when you find yourself in the calm, clear place, at that point, you know, you're going to say, oh, okay, this is great, but, you know, did I cure my herpes? And you'll test yes. And you'll test, can I get a negative medical test? I don't know whether you'll test yes or no on that, but it doesn't matter, because probably you can't. Because, you know, 20 minutes later, you're going to be back to feeling the yucky way you always felt, because you have millions of things to cure. That's why. There's many, many things. You didn't know they were there, okay? You know, it's not a crime, you know? You don't have to blame yourself for that. You know, you don't know very much about yourself. The bottom line is, what you need to understand here, you don't know very much about yourself. Like, you didn't know you had a spiral body, right? That's pretty basic, isn't it? If you've got one and you don't know you have one, you know, that would constitute not knowing an essential thing about yourself, right? Like, boom, just you know, think about it for a second. Give it a moment's thought, you know? I'm telling you, the herpes was in your spiral body. You didn't know that. Oh, well, I took it out and now I'm feeling different. Oh, yeah, I guess maybe it was in my spiral body. So maybe you didn't know as much, because most people think they know all about themselves. You know, well, maybe you didn't know as much about yourself as you thought you did. So that's all out there, you know, before you, for you to discover. And this is a good experience. It's discovering these things feels good, and it's enjoyable, and you're gonna love it. Or maybe not. You know, a lot of people don't really like making new discoveries about themselves. The discoveries just prove that they were wrong about all these things that they thought, so they're not too happy about that. So then they quit. You know, what can I tell you? You know, keep your herpes. You know, if you don't want to discover that you were wrong and stupid and bad and unconscious and dense, you know, and you don't want to come to understand that and come into the knowingness of that, then you can always just stay sick and go to the doctor, and then they'll tell you they have no cure, and you can march for the cure. You know? You can march for the cancer cure. Or you can cure your cancer, but you're going to be making a lot of discoveries about yourself. And it's going to be a lot of hard work and take a long time. And Barb cured her herpes in 1994, my friend who got the negative medical test. The negative medical test she got in 2006. No kidding. She didn't even ever think, she didn't care about getting a negative medical test, but she went to a buddy of hers who was a doctor, because we were doing the blood type diet. She wanted to know her blood type. So her doctor said, well, her friend said, okay, I'm going to do a complete workup on you, and he did. And she was negative on everything. Clean blood. Okay, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, and it's good being with you. So connect with us. Friend me on Facebook. I'm Bayard Henry Barnes. So you can be my Facebook friend. Watch the movies that are on my Facebook page, and you will learn all about curing things from those too. See you later, alligator.